Coming up on Mountain News this morning, a deadly shooting yesterday in Bowling Green sent one officer to the hospital. And one Kentucky man found out how long he will spend in prison following a guilty plea to murdering a 4-year-old.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
6:32 here on this Friday morning, and thank goodness it's Friday. Brandon Robinson here doing news, weather, got you covered all fronts here on this Friday. It is July 7th, and we're glad you're with us this morning. Let's take a look at your forecast, and we're looking down from Buffalo Mountain this morning, and boy, is it foggy here in town. We're looking again at the fog, kind of like a blanket in the valleys this morning. 64, a little cooler. You see a bit of a breeze there on those trees on the right side of your screen. We're going to continue screen, right side of your screen. I don't know where I'm at these days anymore. 63 in Clintwood, 64 in Hazard and Wise, 68 Prestonsburg, Grundy, 69 Jackson, 68 also Manchester and Somerset. But the warm spots this morning, 70 Harlan and Jonesville, Ashland and Moorhead, and 73 in Monticello. Today's breakdown, 86, so it's going to be about the same temperature as yesterday. But once that front passes by, it is stalled back out into parts of central and south central Kentucky. As we head through the morning hours, we will see dew points and humidity levels start to slip a little bit. That's the only saving grace with this cold front, and we see some stray rain chances there. So it's not really a cold front, it's a cool front that's mainly dry. So just kind of keep that in mind. More chances for rain this weekend, and we'll talk more about those here in a few minutes. New this morning, there was an officer-involved shooting in south central Kentucky on Thursday that sent a Bowling Green police officer to the hospital. We do not have many details about the shooting yet, but we do know what happened on Russellville Road. We are told the suspect in the case, a man who was not identified, was shot and pronounced dead at the medical center in Bowling Green. This officer is being treated for life-threatening injuries. No word on his condition this morning. Following the shooting, members of the community say they are fearful for their safety and for the safety of their loved ones.
It should make everybody feel scared, no matter what community you in, because there are so many crimes being committed. And, you know, like, it's happening every day, and it's time for everybody to pull together and get it together. Life is too short. We got kids coming up. You know, we don't want nothing to happen to our loved ones. This man probably had a family to go home to. We don't know what might happen to him, but the violence just needs to stop.
Officials with Kentucky State Police say they plan to release more information about the shooting later this morning. A grand jury has formally indicted the man accused of killing a Scott County deputy. Police say 45-year-old Stephen Shing shot and killed Deputy Caleb Conley during a traffic stop on I-75 back in May. Last month, Attorney General Daniel Cameron announced his office was taking over the prosecution against Shing. Yesterday, Cameron's office announced that grand jury has indicted the suspect on several charges in the case, including murder of a police officer, possession of a handgun, and wanton endangerment. Back here at home, a man was arrested Wednesday morning after allegedly assaulting a police officer. It happened in Laurel County, and officials with the sheriff's office responded to a call about a man passed out near a business off of the West Cumberland Gap Parkway. Police say they found 38-year-old Jason Blevins and confirmed that he was under the influence. Blevins reportedly told police he had already been arrested on assault charges, or for assault rather, and he reportedly threatened to assault a responding deputy. Officials say Blevins kicked and fought the deputy before he was arrested. He faces several charges, including assault and resisting arrest. A former Kentucky State Police trooper has died. Will Pope served as a trooper for both posts 9 and 10 from 2016 to 2019. Officials say he resigned from that position to become a lineman. Pope had also served as a patrolman for the Harlan City Police Department. Officials did not provide information on how he died. His funeral arrangements are pending. A man who took a plea deal following the murder of a Bullitt County child was sentenced to 50 years in prison yesterday. Dakota Smith pleaded guilty to the murder of 4-year-old Serenity McKinney. When the young girl was reported missing in 2021, Hill was dating Serenity's mother, Catherine Abby McKinney. The girl's body was found in a wooded area along the Jefferson-Bullitt County line last year. Serenity's mother was already sentenced to 12 years in prison after pleading guilty to manslaughter charges. Serenity's family was outside the courthouse yesterday explaining how they want the 4-year-old to be remembered.
She would smile that would steal your heart. and the giggle that was so contagious. That's how I want the community to remember her by, not by her medical examiner report.
Hill is eligible for parole in 20 years and again in a little more than 40 years. Commonwealth's attorney Bailey Taylor says there is a slim chance it will be granted. In Whitley County, a man was sentenced to 70 years in prison for murder. Jordan Miracle was convicted of murder, robbery, and tampering with evidence. He is the third and final defendant to be sentenced in the 2019 murder and robbery of Billy Lawson. In Bell County, a woman is facing felony charges after she reportedly recanted her story about an alleged assault. The incident happened back in June at a home on Old Crossville Road near Pineville. Police say Deanda Shaver reported Donald Shaver Jr. knocked her out of her chair, tried to strangle her, and before swinging an axe at her stomach while she was pregnant. While Deanda appeared in court recently, officials say she confessed the story was not true. She was arrested and taken to the Bell County Detention Center. All charges except for one against Donald Shaver Jr. were dropped and he was released from the jail. Staying in Bell County, we have an update to a story we first told you about last April. Former Bell County Coroner Clyde Creech was indicted on 38 charges of violating trust provision and 1 charge of theft. The crimes reportedly happened between 1994 and 2014. A new court order says Creech must go to the Kentucky Correctional Psychiatric Center for an inpatient competency evaluation before his trial. The evaluation was previously scheduled for March of this year. Officials with the Irvin Police Department are investigating after human bones were found on Wednesday night. Police say the bones were found in a dirt driveway near a home on Oak Street. The homeowner was reportedly landscaping when those bones were found. They were identified as a femur and a clavicle and sent off for testing. The investigation into that case is ongoing. Senate Bill 268 was signed by Governor Andy Beshear back in June. It holds drunk drivers responsible for making them pay child support after killing or hurting a parent during a crash. WYMT's RJ Johnson has more on why DUI advocates say this is a step in the right direction.
Senate Bill 268, or Melanie's Law, was signed by Governor Andy Beshear last month and is now in effect. The law gives restitution in the form of child support to the children whose parent was killed or left permanently disabled after a crash caused by a drunk driver, which is something Mothers Against Drunk Driving Regional Executive Director Alex Odie says is special in its own way.
One thing that is always very hard for a lot of families who are impacted by drunk and drug driving is that the offender, regardless of what their sentence is, a fine or limited jail time, whatever that looks like, at some point they get to forget and go on with their lives as if it never even happened.
She says this allows that driver to be held responsible for such actions.
The families that are left behind, or the families of those who are permanently physically injured, will never get to forget. We'll never get to live a day where there's not a reminder. And so in addition to adding a level of accountability and financial support for those surviving children, it also serves as a reminder to the offender of the decision that they made.
But she says it is going to take everybody to make sure the drunk driving issue is solved.
That drinking and driving is a choice. It's not an accident. It's not a mistake. It's not something that just happened. It is a decision, and it is 100% preventable, but it's going to take all of us, entire communities, to come together and want to be a part of preventing it.
Odie says this law was the next step into the right direction. RJ Johnson, WYMT, Mountain News.
Odie says Kentucky is not the first state to pass this type of bill, but says it is the first to include that victims left permanently include victims that are left permanently disabled. Folks across the Commonwealth now have a better chance of getting help with their substance abuse disorders. This is partly because of the Career Act, introduced by Senator Mitch McConnell and Congressman Andy Barr. The bill provides funding to addiction recovery programs to be able to support patients getting back into the workforce.
Everybody knows somebody that's suffering from substance abuse anymore. It's become such a sad disease that's happened to people, that's took so many loved ones away from people, that it's a need and stuff that I think, and especially here, because a lot of the bigger areas and stuff have more resources than we do kind of in the small towns.
Mountain Comprehensive Care Center, the Isaiah House, and St. Elizabeth Medical Center all receive funding from a Career Act program. 641, almost 642. We take a live look at the Mountain Parkway near the Wolf Powell County line close to Slade. Not too much traffic, not too much fog, but temperatures in the upper 60s out there already this morning. That's the case for a lot of the region. Back to 64, Clintwood, Wise, and Hazard. Everybody else basically 67 to 70 or above. 66 in Williamsburg, just now noticed them, but 73 down the road in Monticello, the warmest temperature in the region this morning. Statewide, we're still kind of muggy or still kind of mild out to the west, not necessarily muggy. The cold front, it's actually a stalled front right now, is actually basically between Lexington and Louisville, working its way east once it starts moving again. So I would say the cities back out toward the west, like Owensboro, Clarksville, Paducah, Nashville, still in the 70s this morning, are feeling better, even though it's not looking better on the thermometer. To the east, we're still in the 60s and 70s here in Hazard and beyond. Your out-the-door forecast features, again, temperatures that will climb to about 86 today, but if the front gets through here in time, it should feel better outside when it comes to the feels like temperature. Thank you for joining us. The time now 6:42. Still to come on Mountain News this morning, how exercising and not getting enough sleep might be harmful to your body, even with all the workouts.